This week's Extra Life on F5 Live Refreshing Technology is proudly powered by EXA. EXA brings the latest technology to gamers, offering the most immersive products for the ultimate gaming experience. They've compiled the best elements of cutting-edge ENC tech, the latest in Bluetooth 5.0 and 7.1 surround, plus extra features into their headsets so everyone can enjoy a sensational gaming experience. And they've got headsets for Xbox, PlayStation, Switch, and PC. Plus, they won't break the bank. Learn more about the headsets that are available and any current promotions by going to f5live.tv/exa. Well, if subscription fatigue hasn't completely gotten you yet, we've got good news for you. There's another subscription service coming to the Xbox. It is Ubisoft Plus, which is Ubisoft's game subscription service. It works very similar to EA Play, Xbox Game Pass, PlayStation Plus, in that you pay per month. In the case of the multi-access for Ubisoft Plus, it's $18 a month, and you get access to hundreds of games, tons of stuff from the Ubisoft catalog. There's going to obviously be a lot of Assassin's Creed in there, since it's a large portion of their catalog. But if you play a lot of Ubisoft games, this coming to Xbox is a cool new feature. Game Pass currently gives you everything from Microsoft, some third parties, plus EA Play. So now with Ubisoft Plus also coming to the Xbox, you're getting to a point where you may not have to purchase new games anymore, for better or worse. Though if you want to keep them past a certain lifespan, you'll certainly want to. But it's definitely showing if not an overall complete move in the industry, it's certainly showing that there's interest from gamers in that direction, because you can still buy the games, but these things are becoming, more prevalent, whether it be these or, things like Amazon Luna, yeah, which is their cloud streaming, cloud gaming service. Subscription gaming has become popular, so there's definitely a demand for it, it seems. What do you think, Abram?
Yeah, sure. I mean, look, obviously, everybody wants, every business wants recurring subscription revenue, so they're going to try and get you to sign up. But people at the same time, given the cost of games, the cost of individual games, want to sign up for services that make things a little bit less expensive
Yeah.
than having to just buy title after title after title. Um,
Yeah. And with, the average cost of a AAA title being $60, there was some fear that we would see it go to 70 with the new generation, but so far I don't think we've seen that. So $60, they only have to put out one new title every 3 months, and it still pays for itself. Right?
right. So here's an interesting observation. I was, I was talking to my son the other day about the cost of games,
Mm-hmm.
and and I guess we were talking about inflation or whatever, and he said something like, "Wow, games are so expensive. Games are so expensive now." And I said, "Yeah, well, when I was younger, games were much cheaper." But then I went back and I did the math. And here's a little interesting tidbit. So, so you're right. Like a Nintendo game or like a console game, I guess you could say like a popular game now is $60. So you're a collector of vintage stuff. Do you know how much a typical Atari cartridge cost in 1980?
No. But by the way, uh, Legend of Zelda: Tears of the Kingdom, $70. So we have seen um, new titles go up. Anyway,
Okay. So apparently the cost in 1980 of an Atari cartridge was $22 to $24.
Okay.
But if you look up 24 1980 dollars today, that is the equivalent of $87 in spending power. So, has
Yeah.
the cost of games gone up or has it gone down?
Right.
Because $24 in 1980 is it was a lot more money than it sounds like now.
Yeah. Yeah. The number has gone up, but the value has gotten better.
Yeah.
Even
So
at
I guess you
even
can't
at
complain.
$70.
Yeah, you can't. I guess you can't complain, right?
Yeah.
Uh, I
I mean
mean,
you I mean you can, but either way you could have complained, but it wasn't going to do anything.
so right. So and the Atari itself, 189 was $189 in 1980, which according to this was $850 in 2021 dollars.
Mhm.
So think about that for a minute. $850 for your console. And what does a PS5 cost? 500? Nintendo
Uh
Switch 300?
yeah. Yeah.
So, and people were paying this so they could play ET. Think about that. Um,
Oh,
so they could play the Pac-Man that looked horrible.
good
So,
reference. Good reference.
yes, their money was
That's a
buried.
that's a deep cut right there, my friend.
Yeah. Uh,
Which also
no, even
is
my,
an old school reference because that's a record joke.
yeah. Well, my even my son knows about the ET game because we saw
Hmm.
some documentaries about it. But anyway, point being, games are not actually getting that much more expensive. They
Hmm.
just, well, maybe they're more expensive than they were a couple of years ago. But if you take inflation into account, they're still not as expensive as they used to be.
Even if you take inflation into account, we've had a year of 8 to 9%. That still
Right.
kind of accounts for the $9 difference between the two Zelda
Right.
games.
Right. Exactly. So, I mean, it costs, things, but I mean, prices of things rise over time.
Yeah.
But actually, if you look at it, a lot of things are relatively cheaper. Like, how much did it cost? How much did a PC cost? How much did a computer
Yeah.
cost? Like, it's funny now because I think about it and I'm like, man, my parents wouldn't get me a Commodore 64. They said it was too expensive. And what was it, like $300? But now I'm thinking like, but actually that was really more like $1,500.
Yeah.
So, you know, uh, so consider that. Consider that. The things, you know, video games are not as expensive as we think because the amount of money. I mean, look, I
Yeah.
mean, if you took my parents and they used to pay 5 cents for like a pack of gum or something, and like if they went to the store today and they saw that Trident was like $1.50, they'd be like, oh my God, look at all this inflation. So like,
Uh-huh. It's
it
so funny.
happens.
I was just having that conversation the other night. Well, I said
Right.
something about, well, it used to be this. I was like, oh, I kind of feel like my parents or grandparents talking about, a 5-cent candy bar. Oh, apparently it happens to all of us eventually.
Yeah, it does. It does. But you just have to, but I just encourage people to do the math because a lot of times things are actually relative to what you relative to what people spend today
Yeah.
on things and
And then
presumably relative to what people earn in some jobs that keep up with the market, which
yeah.
is many do not.
And then
You
look
know,
at look at the difference in the game of any of the Assassin's Creeds, let's go with a modern one, and compare that at $69, compare that to ET at 22 or 24 in the 80s, which works out to almost 90 today. Yeah, your value for money is
right. I mean, how much time?
significantly
Just
skewed.
like, I mean, even just putting aside the fact that obviously technology advances and things are better, like how much like fun time are you getting
Right.
out of the game? Like, I guess you could play ET forever, but you probably get bored at a certain point because those games didn't have much of a story and they didn't last very long.
And that
But
one in
you didn't
particular
play
we keep going back to because it's so
because
comically bad.
that's a comically bad one. But even like a great Atari game like Adventure,
Sure.
you know, yeah, you're just not going to get as much replayability out of it
Right.
as you do out of some of the AAA titles today.
Yeah.
So and more goes into it too. Like I'm sure that they paid more people to work on it. There's more intellectual property involved, music, paying Keanu Reeves for Cyberpunk, things like that that they didn't have to do when it was like, like some of these Atari games, like one person worked on it for a month.
Yeah. Yeah. Tetris.
So
great example. Tetris.
Yeah.
One guy.
Yeah.
And then today, I know, give or take, how many QA people alone are working on Diablo 4, right? Like, it's a huge team of people because that game is massive. Tetris, I guess, technically can go on forever because, it's wonderfully math-based. It's going to outlast you for sure. But, when you build a game that's open and big, like a Diablo or an Assassin's Creed or something, the amount of work that goes into it is just unbelievably massive. Years and years on Diablo. I mean, they put less into things like Assassin's Creed because they've got an engine and a thing, and they put assets into it. But still, it's a lot of work to come up with a new story and to research the timeline and things like that. So, and then with something like this, where for the $18 for Ubisoft Plus, you can play it on PC. You can now play it on the Xbox, and yes, both modern generations support it. So the One and the Series. And if I understand it correctly, you can play it through Amazon Luna as well. So if you're on the go, you get access to some of the stuff through Luna. So, I mean, that's a heck of an $18 subscription. So some subscription drives us crazy, and sometimes the value for the dollar ends up being pretty good if you play a lot of Ubisoft games, past, present, and future. This can be a great deal for you. Hello, YouTube. Thanks for watching, and I hope you enjoyed this episode of F5 Live Refreshing Technology. If you did, please subscribe to the channel down below, and of course hit the notification bell because we know that subscriptions don't mean much on YouTube anymore. If you've got topics that you'd like us to talk about in the future, please comment them down below. And if you'd like to not follow us on YouTube, there's lots of ways that you can follow along with our content by going to PLUGHITZLive.com/subscribe. There you'll see all of our shows and all of the ways that you can watch, listen, and follow along.